Or if you feel mentally drained all the time, like you're tired even when you haven't done much. This might explain why. You wake up and you don't feel fully rested. You go through your day, but everything feels heavier than it should. Simple tasks feel harder. Decisions take more effort. And even when you try to relax, your mind doesn't switch off. So you assume the problem is energy, that you just need more sleep, more rest, more time to recover. But what if that's not the real issue? Because feeling drained isn't just about what you're doing physically. It's about what your mind is carrying. And right now, your mind is carrying a lot. From the moment you wake up, your attention is being pulled in different directions. Notifications, messages, content, information, things you need to remember, things you haven't finished, things you keep putting off. And even when you're not actively thinking about them, your brain is still holding on to them, running them in the background. And that takes energy, more than most people realize, because your brain doesn't just switch off between tasks. It keeps going, processing, thinking, holding information. And that constant activity is what drains you. Another reason you feel mentally drained is because you're making too many small decisions throughout the day. What to check, what to respond to, what to focus on next. And every decision uses mental energy. So by the time you get to something important, you've already used a lot of that energy. And that's why everything feels harder later in the day. Another thing that drains you is mental clutter. Too many open loops, things you've started but haven't finished, things you need to do but haven't planned, things you keep thinking about but haven't acted on. Your brain keeps all of that active in the background, and the more it holds on to, the more energy it uses. So even when you're sitting still, you don't feel rested because your mind isn't. Another reason you feel drained is because your brain never fully switches modes. You go from one thing to another without any real break in between. You finish something and immediately move on to the next. You check something, respond to something, think about something else, and your brain never gets a clear reset. So instead of having real breaks, everything blends together, and that constant switching uses more energy than staying focused on one thing. Another reason this happens is because you're never truly resting. You might stop working, you might sit down, you might scroll or watch something, but your brain is still being stimulated, still taking in information, still processing. So it doesn't recover, or it just switches from one type of input to another. And that's not rest. That's just different stimulation. Real rest is when your brain has space, no constant input, no constant decisions, no constant processing, just stillness. And most people don't get enough of that anymore. Another thing that adds to this is how often your attention is interrupted, even small interruptions. A notification, a quick check, each one pulls your attention away. And every time that happens, your brain has to reset, refocus, re-engage, and that uses energy. So if your attention is constantly being broken, you're using more energy than you realize. So what's the solution? It's not just more sleep. It's reducing the load on your mind, reduce the constant input, limit how much information you're taking in. Create moments where nothing is competing for your attention, because that's when your brain starts to recover. Another powerful shift is getting things out of your head. Write things down. Close small tasks.
What's up?
Finish what
Good.
you can,
And
because the
you good?
fewer things your brain has to hold on to, the less energy it uses and the lighter you feel. Another thing that helps is simplifying your decisions. Remove unnecessary choices. Create routines. Make things predictable where you can. Because the fewer decisions you make, the more energy you have for the things that matter. And over time, that changes how you feel. You feel clearer, less overwhelmed, less drained, not because you're doing less, but because your mind isn't caring as much. So if you've been feeling mentally drained lately, it's probably not because you're lacking energy. It's because your brain has been overloaded with constant input, constant decisions, and too many things left open. Fix that, and your energy comes back.